In the immediate, there is no better time than now to talk a little bit about the plans for people who are voting in very blue states and in very red states, who maybe are planning to vote third party, maybe you're planning not to vote at all, because the outcome in your state is essentially determined. Now, as most of you probably know, in the United States, we don't have a national popular vote, we have an electoral college. So if you win a state as a presidential candidate by just one vote, you get all of that state's electoral votes, and it has no impact on what happens in other states. It's really 50 individual elections. Because of that system that we have, really, the election is determined by a dozen or so battleground states, or swing states as they're sometimes called. So these include places like Wisconsin, North Carolina, Ohio, Florida, etc. And it's very common that people in very blue or very red states who are on the left will say to me, I get these phone calls, I hear from people in person, etc. They'll say, I live in Utah. Biden's not going to win. I might vote third party, or I might not vote, or whatever. And then I'll hear from people in states like my state of Massachusetts who say Biden is winning by, what is it at this point, 30, 40? It's crazy what Biden's winning by in Massachusetts. It doesn't really require my vote to make sure Biden gets Massachusetts electoral vote. So I might vote. Maybe I'll vote Green Party to give them some support or whatever. If there was ever an election where that is not the approach that we should have, it is this one. If there was ever an election where every blue state and red state voter needs to make sure that you are voting for Joe Biden, it is this one. And you probably can guess why I'm going to make this point. There is a very real possibility that Donald Trump will claim that the election wasn't fair, that it was rigged, that the results are wrong. And in particular, if it's very close, nationally or within the key states that end up being the determining factors, we may have a situation where not only do we not know the results on November 3rd, I mean, with the number of mail-in ballots we're going to have, it's certainly reasonable and not a problem for me that maybe we don't know the results until November 6th or 7th. I want the right results rather than the fast results. But put that aside for a second. We could again end up with a situation where the Supreme Court gets involved here. And some people sent me a clip of Sam Cedar recently talking about this, saying, we might not know who won on Tuesday. And Trump will, in all likelihood, claim that he won. Lawsuits may start in a variety of different states, and it could be a never-ending battle. So we need a large margin in every single state. And also, we want the largest possible popular vote margin. Why? Well, because if it does get to either secretaries of state or Supreme Court justices, the more overwhelming the defeat is of Donald Trump, if we are going to get one, the more difficult it's going to be for Supreme Court justices to justify funny business, we'll leave it at that, which could end up handing the election to Donald Trump. There's no guarantee. As we know, the Supreme Court is liable to do anything at any time. But the point is, winning the popular vote by 3 million votes, which is roughly what Hillary Clinton did in 2016, while still seeing Donald Trump become president with an electoral college victory, that's just going to be too close. And if this extends a few days into weeks because of lawsuits and on into the Supreme Court, particularly while Donald Trump is trying to kneecap the Postal Service to try to prevent vote by mail absentee ballots from being delivered, we need to do everything we can to avoid small margins anywhere. We want to avoid small margins in the states that will be close. We want to avoid small margins or smaller margins than we could have in California and Massachusetts. We need to run the score up. And if the election comes down to a couple of states and the popular vote is closer rather than less close, it just better enables Donald Trump to claim whatever the hell he plans to claim. If we overwhelm the vote so much that Trump is crushed in the popular vote, the claims are just slightly harder to make seriously. California has millions and millions of Democrats, and Joe Biden's clearly going to win. Who cares? Go out and vote and run up the score in California. Massachusetts will easily go to Joe Biden. You'd better believe I'm going to be voting and encouraging everybody I know who votes in Massachusetts to be voting. Everybody has to vote because we have to, I don't know of a better term than to run up the score. And then and only then if we succeed in removing Donald Trump, then we go back to what I discussed earlier, which is we will have to deal with Trumpism and the 60, 62, 64, 66 million people who will have seen the last 3.5 years and will say, yeah, give me another 4 years of that. Following Sam Cedar's logic on this, which I think is sound, it's possible that overwhelming margins could sway one Supreme Court justice. You don't have to, if it's going to be 5-4 in some decision over some lawsuit that Trump files, if it's going to be 5-4, an overwhelming popular vote victory, swinging one of those 9 votes could make all the difference in who ends up being president as of January 20th, 2021. And voting is something we can all do. It's our right. Let's exercise it. August 23rd is the 15-year anniversary of the David Pakman Show. We will have a huge membership special. I can't say any more about it because it's borderline illegal, certainly immoral, but maybe even illegal in some states. Be notified of this great membership special by grabbing a membership, by getting on our newsletter at davidpakman.com. You will then on August 23rd be notified of how to take advantage of this great membership discount.